99.7 The Game breaking news.
Well, this just in advance of the Warriors at the Rockets, Jonathan Kuminga is listed as out for tonight's game against the Houston Rockets. He last played March 26th against Miami. This will be the fifth consecutive game missed by Jonathan Kuminga, who has officially been ruled out tonight, FP, with that knee tendonitis.
Dude, tendonitis is weird, man. It can, you think you're good, and then you wake up and it's barking, then you jump. Dude, jumping and stopping with the knee tendonitis, like the brakes, that's your brakes. And you hit the brakes and it bites a little bit. I mean, it's a tricky deal, dude. Once you get it, it's hard to, rest makes it go away, and then you go test it, and you're like, I'm good. Then you wake up the next morning, it's locked up. I've had that a bunch, man. And anybody that's had tendonitis in your knee, it's super painful.
Yeah, he actually went through a hard workout on Tuesday and did anticipate a likely return tonight, but he'll be out again with bilateral knee tendonitis. This from Anthony Slater, courtesy Twitter, a.k.a. X. So the bilateral knee tendonitis means he's got tendonitis in both his knees. At FP, for a man his age to already be dealing with tendonitis, not a long-term concern, but certainly a little bit eyebrow-raising. And I know that Dr. Nirav Pandya, who comes on the station, cleared to play, courtesy UCSF Health every week, he mentioned that a lot of times it's when you get increased minutes from one season to another where this sort of tendonitis can become present.
I'm not a doctor, and I did not sleep at a Holiday Inn Express last night, but I it's a jumpers thing for me, and he's a jumper. You know, he's a high flyer, and I feel like up and down the court, hard surface, hitting the brakes, jumping a lot, all conducive to having tendonitis. In 5 games, Dibs, is a lot. This isn't a small injury, and it's crunch time. And usually this time of year in any sport, if you're playing for your playoff life, you play hurt, you play banged up. So the fact that he's not playing tonight, and I'm just speculating, I don't know, this is not good as far as, is he going to play? Like, this is where you suck it up, is my point. So, and I'm sure Kaminga would, and if he's not playing, that tells me that this might be a little more serious than we're thinking.
What's your level of concern about Kaminga missing a fifth consecutive game? 888-957-9570. FP and I were going to debate what to do with Wiggins and Kaminga, with Kaminga coming back tonight. How do you deal with the two playing together, not playing well together, and all the rest of it? But instead, FP, let's focus on the Andrew Wiggins part of this. I've been out the first 3 days of the week so far, and man, Andrew Wiggins appears to be back to two-way Wiggs. What's been the reaction around the station? I know you've been in with Mark so far 3 days. What are people saying about the resurgent Andrew Wiggins?
Well, we had some Chris Paul sound that we played a lot yesterday, where he's saying that every day when he daps him up in the introductions, he says, be aggressive. That's the only thing he says to him. So what we're seeing, and you guys have heard it because Mark played it from all your shows, of Steve Kerr saying it, Klay Thompson saying it, that they tell him to be aggressive. So this is a guy that by nature obviously isn't, because if your teammates have to tell you that all the time, and all of a sudden he's playing aggressive. And I'll just say this in Steve Kerr's defense, if it's Moody, Santos, Quinones, Wiggins, and I mean, whatever the lineup is right now is my point at this part of the season. If it's working, it's working. You go with it. You ride it to the finish line. If you're winning with Wiggins right now, you ride this out to the end. You don't change anything at this point, because we've been talking about a lot, Dibs. It's just about playing basketball all of a sudden. And to me, more so than Wiggins is the focus of Draymond Green all of a sudden. He's not just playing wildly hard and crazily hard. He's playing with a certain focus and an energy where he's actually scoring and taking the ball and finishing at the rim, and he's not always looking to pass, and his defense is clutch at the right times, and he always plays hard, right? Draymond always plays hard, but sometimes it's hard and out of control. Sometimes it's like, what are you doing? Why did you shoot that? Why did you foul with 1 second? What are you doing? So sometimes his hard play, which is admirable, and I love the way he gets after it, is misdirected. Ever since halftime at San Antonio, it's been super focused.
Yeah, and that play he made against Dallas, the defensive play that sealed the game, and Chris Paul talking about it maybe being one of the best defensive plays he's ever seen. Don't know if that's hyperbole, to go from guarding your man, you stop the ball, you help off your man, you go down, you jump up, you block it, you corral it, and you prevent it from going out of bounds all in one fell swoop, and then the big power flex to the crowd afterward. I mean, it gets to be a little bit maddening sometimes with Wiggins and the way he plays, and also with Draymond. It's why can't you be that engaged and that much of a positive force on the team all the time? It just seems like the ups and downs, the roller coaster of emotions dealing with Draymond Green is as dramatic, if not worse, than Andrew Wiggins.
I was excited to have Steve on, but he landed late in Houston, and it was just weird yesterday with that whole thing. I'm glad he came on our station this morning. But I was excited, and I don't know what kind of answer I would get from him to ask him what happened at halftime of the San Antonio game, because they were sleepwalking the first half. And then they came out, and it was Steph and Dre, and it was Steph and Dre. And I was saying with Mark, and I know you take care of a sick kid this week, I was saying for that little short 8 or 9 minute period of the third quarter against San Antonio, those two guys, Dibs, turned into 18-year-olds again and 21-year-olds again, and they were playing basketball in its purest form for the love of the game. And it's almost like they threw out all the drama, all the contracts, all the rings, all the crap that's happened the last couple of years out the window for that little spurt. They reverted to 3-on-3 at the playground, first one to 11, win by 2. It was awesome.
Yeah, it's been really, really impressive. And Chris Paul's been giving them good quality minutes off the bench, and the Warriors winners of 5 in a row. After the loss to Minnesota, it felt like, oh boy, this thing could get sideways again in a hurry, but instead they've gone on to win 4 straight on the road. They beat Dallas at home. They've got 4 of their last 7 on the road, including back-to-backs tonight at Houston. Tip time, 5 o'clock. FP and I will bring you all the way up to Warriors pregame at 4:30. We'll give you Warriors live at 4 o'clock. And then again tomorrow, Dallas, that game is a 5:30 start from Dallas and FP. And I think FP's in. If not, it'll be Grandy and I tomorrow bringing you up there as well. Andrew Wiggins and his resurgence. In just the 4 games since Kaminga's been out, he's averaging 17.5 a game, shooting it almost 16 times a game, 42% from 3, 6 rebounds a game. Is it too simplistic, FP, to say Wiggins plays better when Kaminga's not around? Or do you think there are other reasons why Wiggins has suddenly returned to the form they need him to be in?
I mean, Chris Paul said he unlocks everybody else when he plays like this. And that's so true. And I think he has trouble at times asserting himself, right? Oh, that's Steph over there. That's Clay over there. Should I shoot right here? No, those guys need to shoot. And when he does that, when he is aggressive, and we talked about this a lot yesterday, when he's aggressive, be aggressive doesn't mean you're not playing hard. They're not saying go out and play hard because he plays hard. It's just we want you to assert yourself more. Be more assertive. Be more aggressive in shots. Be more aggressive in driving to the rim. Be more aggressive on defense and shutting somebody down. So I don't want to misconstrue, hey, they're all telling you to be aggressive, meaning like you're soft, go out there and we really need you. We need effort out of you.
Right.
It's not that. It's just they want him to, like, maybe just, if I want to translate, be more confident in your game and take it to the other team because we think you're good. You got to think you're as good as we think you are. And go out there and play with a swagger. Go out there and play with a confidence level. Assert yourself and be aggressive every single. We won a championship because of you. We could make a sick run right now in the playoffs if you do what you're doing. So you need to do this. But Dibs, as a teammate, and you have a guy like that every day that you have to push and come on. That can get old. But now we're down to a little sprint. Basketball in a microwave oven. 7 games left. Maybe 8. Maybe 9. Maybe 10. Maybe another month. Who knows? So go out there and just let it rip, bro, for 7 games. Just go out there and let it rip and see what happens.
And maybe that's part of it, too, just the fact that now you have urgency. And, Andrew Wiggins has played in 66 out of the 75, so it's not so much that he hasn't been available. He missed those 4 games about a month ago due to the personal absence. And other than that, he's had a couple of minor, annoying little injuries that have kept him out of action. But Andrew Wiggins has been available, but the problem has been he's just been so quiet much of the year. He's averaging 13 a game, and that's actually an improvement. He's had 23, 20, and 23 in 3 of the last 4 games, and not coincidentally, those have been wins. And I mentioned this to Mark before, and maybe it's a chicken or the egg conversation, FP, but when Andrew Wiggins is a plus in the plus minus, this team doesn't lose. In fact, they've only lost a total of 5 games this year where he has a positive plus minus, and that's no small sample. That's out of 29 games that they've played. So when Andrew plays well, this team does win basketball games.
What do you think they could do in the playoffs, Dibs? Mark and I have been talking about it a lot this week. Do you think they can put a dent in this thing? Do you think there's teams that don't want to play them? Do you think they're playing well enough right now, winning 5 in a row, crushing it, Wiggins is playing well, Draymond's playing well. Steph didn't even have to do anything the other night, and they won against Dallas. What do you think about their chances in a play-in game and a playoff? Where's your level of enthusiasm that they can do something in the playoffs?
It's going up, and I heard you guys yesterday. I was driving around getting medicine, and I heard you guys talking about how excited you are for the play-in, and I've never been a fan of the play-in games. I think it's a joke. I think that it's unnecessary. That being said, the idea of Warriors at LA and then potentially Warriors at Sacramento, I'm here for those 2 games. So maybe it sounds a little bit like hypocrisy. I don't like the play-in games in general, but in this situation, if you've got Warriors at LA elimination and then the winner potentially at Sacramento in a similar elimination scenario, that in a bubble is exciting. There's no way that I can deny that. Now, can they make it out of that? Sure, but I don't like their chances against Minnesota, Denver, or OKC, and that's for 3 different reasons.
What are they?
Well, I think OKC is too young and too fast. I think that they pose a problem for the Warriors. I don't think that the Warriors are built to beat them 140 to 139 4 different times. Now, I know earlier in the year they played OKC tough, and they were able to hang with them. I think that OKC has just got too much athleticism and speed for an older Warrior team. I think Minnesota, even without the Cat, they pose too much of a size issue. And my God, Anthony Edwards is top 5 player in the NBA right now. And I'm afraid, he might dunk on the entire team. I think Minnesota is a tough matchup for the size. And, Denver, what can you say about Denver other than Denver has owned the Warriors? And even when Draymond's back, guarding the Joker is no easy feat. I think Denver is clearly the best team in the Western Conference. So I don't like the matchups against any of those 3. And I know it's still a crapshoot on who will be the number 1 seed. If I had my pick of the 3, I would probably pick OKC as the team, just thinking maybe Steph can get hot and you could win some shootouts and beat the Thunder. Yeah,
we'll see. I would love to see the Sacramento game, wouldn't you? The headlines would be the Warriors move to Sacramento. Is that too soon?
It's pretty good.
Too soon. Everybody's moving to Sacramento. No, I'm excited for the. I'm with you, Dibs. I don't know if I love the play-in thing and the fabrication of it all, and I'm an old school guy, but if you're going to give me LeBron versus Steph in one game, let's go, baby. That's must-see TV, right?
Yeah, now you've got Zion sitting in the play-in spot as it sits, and you've got Kevin Durant who could be in the play-in spot. Heck, Dallas could even fall into that. There's no guarantee right now between 5 and, let's just say 5 and 8, and then the Warriors could maybe even climb up to 8. I was talking to Lucas, our producer, before the show, and I guess if the Warriors go on a even bigger run to end the year, which is not completely out of the question, FP. If you look at the schedule, Houston and Dallas back-to-back, tough games to win both. You've got Utah twice. Those should be wins. You go to Portland. They gave up months ago. So that's 3 wins in your last 7 right there. You got the Lakers. You got the Pels at home. It's a schedule that's not easy. You do have another back-to-back. You've got tonight and tomorrow, and then you've got next Thursday and Friday. So the schedule is a little bit bunched up, but geez, these are games, as well as you're playing right now, you could feel like winning 5 of the 7 is not a stretch.
Yeah, let's go. Giddy up. It all starts tonight with Houston. I'm excited to watch this game. I'm more intrigued by the Warriors, I don't know, the last week or so. Was Draymond getting ejected and everybody wanting him to be suspended or whatever, and Warriors fans were even upset with it and done with him. Was that a good thing? Did that turn out to be a good thing, the way he's played lately? Because he's apparently giving pep talks and speeches, and He's more focused in the way he's playing. He's a different Draymond to me than he was before he got ejected. You know, they had that big win in Orlando after he got. It just seems like, I don't want to say it's a good thing. I don't know how to put this to not sound stupid, but like, he seems like a different dude since that happened. And maybe that was like the last straw when Steve came on our air and said like that was unforgivable. I'm sure there was some really, really difficult conversations behind the scenes after that.
I'm sure, but I think that Draymond's resurgence just comes based on the calendar. And he said it himself before
Big call.
You know, the idea of it's hard for me to get up for OKC in January. I don't know what the exact quote, but that was the essence of it. Basically saying he has a hard time playing hard when the games are low stakes. And now here you are in a spot where the games are much, much higher stakes. You know, the Warriors at the time going into this 5-game win streak, they were no lock to be the 10 seed. And now with a win tonight, and Grandy, if you'd cue up that sound, I'd love to hear it. Draymond Green talking about ending the Houston Rockets tonight with a victory. If they do beat Houston tonight, they'd be 4 up with 6 to play. Grandy, let's go ahead and play that. Draymond Green talking about how they can end Houston tonight.
Big time win for us, especially with the Rockets coming out to play. They have lost a couple in a row. And, you know, you're 3 games behind with 7 games left, and you're losing the tiebreaker. So 4 games behind in a sense with 7 to go. My math serves me correctly. Tomorrow will be an opportunity to end their season, their playoff hopes. If my math serves me correctly, maybe there will be one more game. I haven't looked that up. That's just some rough math for you math geniuses out there that's going to be like, no, they're not mathematically eliminated. And you, like, great. Almost.
That's Draymond Green from the Draymond Green Show. And yes, almost. And it would be even more than almost because Draymond's right. They'd be 4 up. And if you added a tiebreaker, they'd be 5 up. And they would have to run the table. And the Warriors would have to lose out. And as mentioned, the Warriors with a couple of Utahs and a Portland in there. So for all intents and purposes, FP, this is an elimination game for the Houston Rockets tonight at home against Golden State.
What do you think about Draymond? I mean, I know that what's the guy for the Rockets has been popping off on Twitter, and he's saying, we're coming to get your Warriors. We were talking about it yesterday.
Tari Eason.
Yeah, Tari Eason.
Yeah, thank you, Grandy.
Thanks, Grandy, saving the day there. And then Draymond coming back. Just go out and play. I can't wait. I'm excited for the game. I want to see them just boat race Houston tonight. Let's go. Keep
I love that Draymond Green is somebody who hears everything, and he will never miss an opportunity to clap back at somebody who dares to come down his road. Steph Curry called him and his teammates the Petty Kings. You know that Klay Thompson hears everything that's said about him. It's one thing that I didn't realize, FP, and you can speak to it as a pro athlete even better, although you didn't really play in the height of the social media era. You played during the birth or the dawn of the sports talk era. How much of that stuff would get circulated around the clubhouse even when you were playing?
Not much. I think back to playing with the Giants, and guys would say there's this guy named Ralph Barbieri. Be careful when you went on. When you went on, I'm like, who is the Razor? I don't know anything about this guy, but I think athletes now are more in tune than ever with social media, and I think they listen to sports talk. We never did. I didn't even know what sports talk radio was when I did my first show. I had never listened to it in my life. And Bob Agnew said, go on the air. And I said, what's the format? How do you do this? And he was just like, you just talk about sports. I was like, okay. So, yeah, we tuned all that out. We didn't have social media. And I mean, these guys have to go. I don't want to sit here and like cry me a river. You're making millions of dollars. But, you know, a lot of the players, Dibs, they come in off the field and they go right to their phones. And if they have a bad outing or a bad game, they see like threats. They see stuff that you wouldn't even. I didn't know this until last year. A couple of players told me they see things that are just like whoa on their Instagram or on their Twitter and threats from fans because they gave up 3 runs or they went 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. Stuff that we never had to deal with at all. We know it's personal pride. We knew we had a bad game. You know, sometimes you get booed, sometimes you get benched, and that wears on you. But the anxiety level and the layers that these guys have to go through now are a lot different than back in the day. So yeah, I mean, they're in tune. They do listen to everything. Like Draymond knew that Bonte said something about him and didn't answer a question.
I'm surprised you're talking to me.
Yeah, that was tired, by the way, in my opinion. I mean, come on. There's ways to handle that. Bonte's at the arena every day. Go up to him and look him in the eye, man to man, and say like, dude, I heard you were saying this, this, and this, or I actually heard it. I listened to it, and that's BS. And then you handle it like men, but you don't like just shut him out on TV like that. That was immature in my opinion.
Well, my Bonte stock went up about 10% on that retort from Bonte because he didn't stammer, he didn't backpedal, he held his ground, and he handled it like an absolute pro, like a 30-year pro. And Bonte is a pro's pro. The guy's across many platforms, but I was even a little bit more impressed than I thought I would be because I've been in a spot like that where something catches you off guard and you're live on TV and it's a little bit of the da. You start to struggle a little bit.
That's hard.
And you go into dude, big time.
He handled it like a pro. But like those things, I mean, everybody's in tune now. They all hear, they all listen, they're all on social media. They hear the good and the bad. And I mean, we do too. I mean, it's part of life. You hear it when you're talking for a living. You hear it when you're playing for a living. You hear it, period. So it's part of the noise out there right now. And Draymond's right in the middle of all of it. But I just love the way he's playing right now. And Dibs, I've done like a 180. I came on this air like 2 months ago on definite suspension. I'm like, they need him. Availability is the best ability, and he's not there. He's not next to me. I'm out there diving for loose balls, and he's sitting at home watching. But now, even after the ejection, I kind of sat back. My knee jerk was like, well, that's it. And then I sat back and said, no.
Too.
And I said, no. Like, I didn't have a show that day, thank God, or I would have probably been real aggressive. And now watching him play and the way he's a little more focused and a little more aggressive in finishing and scoring, which he never does. I think he's too unselfish on offense at times. And I like to see him finishing at the rim. I like to see the aggressive nature. He's playing downhill. The defense has been spectacular, and they need him this